This radio program is PG-13. Parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13.
The following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix, Arizona, yes. Brother Mike, yes. Back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Thanks for tuning into the program. Today's Bible study, Ouija madness. Hey, will you call somebody and tell them the radio program's on, particularly people who are involved in New Age or witchcraft, stuff like that? I'll do my announcements now. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center, downtown Phoenix, 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's the red brick building. The website, HardcoreChristianity.com, has all of our ministry services. We have 2 live services every week at 7 o'clock on Thursdays and Friday. We have 2 live Zoom healing and deliverance services every Monday for the ladies at 6:30 p.m., every Wednesday for everybody at 6 p.m. And July 13th is our children's deliverance service. If you have a preteen who needs prayer, please bring them that Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning before the devil completely runs off with them. July 13th. Please remember my Sunday morning podcast starts at 9 o'clock. It's on twitch.tv. Please remember we have counseling services available for born-again Christians at no charge. No charge for counseling services. You do not need insurance. You can come in. All you have to do is contact me, Mike, at hardcorechristianity.com or 602-636-5800, and I will put you on the counseling schedule. May God richly bless you. The Ouija board. Can you believe that thing? People think it's a hoax. People think it's just some stupid board game. But let me tell you something. The Ouija board is the most powerful and dangerous piece of satanic material that ever hit the United States of America. You can ask the guy that invented it. He's in hell right now, but he was walking around on the roof of his warehouse where they manufactured the board, slipped and fell off the roof and died. That's what you get for serving Satan. He pays you back later. He gives you a bunch of stuff up front, and then he pays you back in the end. The Ouija board. Absolutely unbelievable power in this thing. You can't even imagine it. I'll give you a quick example. In Colombia, Peru, a group of 30 or so students at the San Jose de Saramuro school in the Loreto region of Peru. A bunch of the kids started playing with the Ouija board. The teacher went along with it, and encouraged the students to go ahead and play with it. They all thought it was just a board game, just something to do. Several people had their cell phones on while they were filming it. And while the kids were playing with this board, an unbelievable scenario occurred. And what happened was what psychologists call mass hysteria. Mass hysteria is a psychiatric term used to describe an unexplainable phenomena that hits large groups of people. And mass hysteria, in order to qualify for mass hysteria, from a psychiatric point of view, it cannot be explained by physical disease. And it cannot be exhibiting behaviors that somebody would normally have under certain circumstances. And it can't be behaviors that are deliberately provoked by someone. For example, like hypnotists in Las Vegas, they'll hypnotize a group of people and then have them act like they're idiots. That's not mass hysteria. That's mass hypnotism. Mass hysteria is also not related to fads, crazes, and riots and different things where people who are in certain circumstances start to behave like the group. That's not mass hysteria. That's behavioral activities that are copying others. And the behavior cannot be coincidental. There's been numerous cases of mass hysteria over the years. For example, the Salem witch trials in the 1600s were an example of mass hysteria. People began to see everybody as a witch, and demons en masse, legions of demons, triggered the mass hysteria situation for the Salem witch trials, and a number of women were given monkey trials and murdered in cold blood through execution. Many, many years ago in Tanzania, 3 students in a boarding school started giggling. And suddenly they couldn't stop. They were having fits of giggling and laughter that was unprovoked by anything funny, and they couldn't stop laughing. Over half the school fell into this mass hysteria trance by demons. They were laughing. Middle schoolers, high schoolers. They called it a laughing bug. This is an example of mass hysteria. This is caused by demons. Legions of demons attack all at once, and they get groups of people to behave in bizarre manners. For example, in 1983, an incident of mass hysteria occurred on the West Bank in Israel. 1,000 or so young Arab students suddenly became ill with a mysterious ailment, and the symptoms were headaches, dizziness, blurred vision, stomach pain, weakness, fainting. 70% of the patients were 12 to 17 years old. Many of the students said they had a strange odor they smelled just before they went into this trance. They had a strange odor. Smelled like rotten eggs. This went on for weeks. In 2007, William Byrd High School had strange twitching incidents occur. One student fell ill with tremors and twitching and dizziness and headaches. Soon it spread like wildfire in the school. This is exactly what happened in Colombia. They started playing with the Ouija board, and suddenly it spread. And suddenly, 30 students started screaming, having seizures, lying on the ground, talking incoherently, severe muscle spasms. Many of the parents of these kids came to the school and grabbed them and took them to churches where they did exorcisms because the parents thought they had become possessed. Well, the parents were right. The school had to suspend classes for a week because of the severity of the spread of these strange physical symptoms from kids doing a Ouija board. And this is what happens when you get involved with witchcraft, and the Ouija board is one of the most powerful tools of witchcraft Satan ever created. The board works. You can ask it questions. It'll spell out answers. People with who are spiritual, who like spirituality, find the board fascinating. But when you start using the Ouija board, there's been numerous cases over the United States for years. This isn't a sudden phenomenon that happens here and there. This has been going on literally for years. People who mess around with a Ouija board draw in familiar spirits, witchcraft and sorcery and warlock demons, and suddenly they start having severe mental, emotional, and physical symptoms that are negative and in some cases permanent. Under no circumstances, as Jehovah warned us in the Old Testament, there shall not be found among you anyone. In Deuteronomy 16, he said anyone who is involved in witchcraft or sorcery or spiritualism or necromancy, people who contact the dead. You've seen them on television. Right now there's a series on there about some medium in Brooklyn. She's on there every week. She has her show now. She does readings for people. She doesn't understand that she's going to end up with something like terminal cancer. She's going to die ugly. And all these people that have come to her for a reading picked up transfer familiar spirits, and they also will soon be becoming mentally, emotionally, or physically ill. These powerful demons of witchcraft and sorcery are something that under no circumstances can you get involved in. And these poor kids at the Columbia School, middle schoolers, young girls, all picked up demons. And the spasms and the pain and the physical symptoms were manifestations of the spirits entering their bodies. That's how you could tell they picked up demons, and then now we're infected with them because they had all these strange physical symptoms. If you've ever been involved in New Age or witchcraft, you can be delivered. 602-636-5800. If you ever had a background in masonry, sorcery, New Age, or your family has, your family tree, you may have picked up a familiar spirit. You may need deliverance from bad dreams or repetitive nightmares. You may need deliverance from spooky, strange illnesses that move around in your body that make no sense. The doctors can't identify. If that's the case, if you've been exposed to witchcraft, 602-636-5800, please call me soon. See you next time.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.